Hello, everybody. It's been a while. Good to see you. I hope you had a great holiday. Hope that you had time to slow down and enjoy life, to um, enjoy what I'm going to be talking about tonight, which is a time of comfort, a time for, um, slowing down, simplicity, good food, good friendships, good family. Um, why don't we just jump into it? Today, I want to talk about something that I just learned called Hygge. I think I'm saying that correctly. I'm half Swedish. I should have some ability, but it's a Danish term, and it's used also in Norway and other Scandinavian countries. And since I'm so new to this, I feel like I should wait and let the experts talk about it. But on the other hand, I'd like to share new ideas. So, Hygge is the term for something really comforting. It's a Hygge atmosphere would be simple, rustic. Candles, definitely candles here. Um, it's a little bit more wintry, but it can be all year round. It almost always involves some kind of food, chocolate, pastries. In fact, we even call a pastry a Danish. That's how connected they are with pastries. Um, a little bit of self indulgence, and we can talk about the balance there. Um, it's a little bit more rustic and closer to nature than it is techno and modern. The lighting is not stark or bright, but it's very cozy, really cozy, comforting, calming, restoring. Um, we all probably have experienced it from time to time. We probably have had moments of Hygge. It's just that the Danes do it more regularly. It's part of their culture. They really emphasize it, and it's not by accident that they're rated one of the highest countries in terms of happiness. And so we'll talk about it. Let's look at, um, I'm going to share a screen. Um, Stop that screen. I'm going to share another screen. Someday I'll be able to do this without telling you everything. There. So here's a little book of Hygge, The Danish Secrets to a Happy Life by Mike, I want to say Viking. I think that's actually related to Viking, which means the word man is embedded. I listened to it on Audible. It's a very short, simple book, but I found having him read it was really delightful. By the way, I'm not promoting this or anything, but I would promote Hygge. Um, and where it was kind of fresh on my mind was it was Christmassy, and I decided to do a number of things. So I'm going to share. Someday I'll be able to get a little bit better at showing these slides. Um, did that work? uh, let's see here. I'm back. Share screen. I'm going to try it again, and I won't be. Try to go too fancy. Oh boy, I lost it. Let's go to photos. Let's go to Hygge. I'm going to try to. You guys are patient. I can feel the patience out there. Let's just keep it simple. Wanted to have some nice, simple things to show here. So, pastries are almost always involved, and we don't have pastries. We have them usually with friends, with coffee, with conversation. I worked with a woman who was Dutch, and it was funny. She was describing things. She said, "Oh, we had a piece of pie, and then we sat down and had this heart to heart." And then another day, "Oh yeah, we had a piece of pie with my mother, and we had a heart to heart." It's like, wow, they're having lots of pieces of pie. And I finally, out of curiosity, asked, "Well, are you good at making pie?" She says, "Oh yeah, we have pie. It's just what we do." And it's maybe how the tea time in Europe, but tea time is not so hygge as it's because it's a little bit more stuffy and formal. Hygge involves simplicity and something that's not pretentious, but very homey. Oops, sorry, boy. Let's go here to the next slide here. So I was had a birthday celebration with my son. We went to a game store, and afterwards we went to 85 Celsius, which is a Japanese bakery. And this bread is actually quite good. It's called honey bread. It's very light. By the way, hygge doesn't involve tons and tons of pastries. Too many pastries would be not hyggely. We went to a place called Mox's Boarding House, which was a game store where you could go purchase a game, or you could just borrow a game and have a nice, cozy lunch and have a lot of fun. And it was a lot of fun. We spent like 4 hours there. My wife, this is how she gives me lunch. Yeah, I am spoiled. She just makes lunch. She's going to put it in a basket. She's going to bring it to the office and set it in the office. Yeah, go figure. In reality, she's not bringing the roses and the candle, but if she could, she would. But yeah, no, she just brings it there. A little love note, a little itty bitty, which in our family we don't toss them back and forth. We place them in various areas so that then, oh look, there's a little Charlie Brown or a little Linus. And it was very snowy. Snow is somewhat hyggely. It's the going out, tromping through the snow, and then when you come back in, you just know it's going to be followed by a cup of tea or a nice warm blanket, a crackling fire. The scent of stew or soup or chili, that's very hyggely. Or bread baking in the oven. Hygge almost always has an aspect of food to it. This is my little Christmas icon with roses and candles again. We had this throughout our Christmas season, the 12 days of Christmas. Here I am. I'm wearing my, it's a video, but I'm wearing my hyggely new comfort. It's very soft and comfortable to wear. And this is some cookies, which the neighbor across the street, believe it or not, I was taking a nice nap, and here it was snowy, very calm. And she introduced herself again. We had talked over the summer, but she brought these cookies. And that's very neighborly. When we talk about the people involved, there's an aspect that you're connecting with people. Not a lot of people, but a few people. This is the opposite of hyggely. My brain has too many tabs open. Yeah, that's the complexity, the digital age. Yeah, hyggely is going back to nature. It's like leaves falling, sitting on grass, listening to a stream with friends, with a picnic lunch, but not a lot to do. It's downtime is what it is. I went up to a nice place up in Bellingham. For those that are up in Bellingham, Washington, hello, there's a shout out to you. Um, there's a bookstore, which I enjoy. And they just happen to have, that's a Hughley night. This is out of order. And where did it go? Okay, I'm going to there. So I was with myself. My wife didn't feel up to it. She really wanted to clean the house by herself. I mean, she really did, I guess, for Christmas. And my son was busy at work, so I drove up by myself, went to the farmer's market. It was rainy. Upstairs in this bookstore, there's a cafe, so I decided to treat myself to a little latte. And there happened to be this quartet of flutists that were playing Renaissance versions of Christmas carols. Quite fun. And it was a Hughley moment, even though I was around a ton of people. Because usually Hughley is much more quiet, but I felt like I was in a comfortable space surrounded in a blanket of Christmas atmosphere because it was quite busy. It was a bookstore. People were buying purchases. Let's see. Okay, we'll go backwards here. I then went to another bakery. Yes, it was a bakery crawl. Well, I didn't really get a pastry at that place. So then I decided to go to this place. And it was very quiet, not a lot of people. And that was a nice place. So I got myself a macaroon. And this is just emphasizing that it was just a window to sit by and look out at very slow activity. During this Christmas season, we also got to go visit my mother-in-law, as well as a good friend of my wife's who happens to be full-blooded Swedish and Norwegian. How do you do both? We had a conversation and learned that she's not as Swedish as she's much. She was in our wedding. Very nice friend. Her place was Hughley. Just at the spur of the moment, we went down there and her neighbor painted all these rocks. And so I took pictures of these rocks, but I guess I could do a shout out. Yeah. So Gloria had some chocolates she brought out. She had things for us to drink. It was just very simple, and we reconnected. And then that's how outside her house was that moon, which was there to guide us home. So Hygge is a descriptive thing. It describes an atmosphere. So you can make your home Hygge. You can make an atmosphere more comfortable for guests to come in. Having a few close friends, and these are the type of friends that they're so comfortable to be around. You don't have to really work too hard. There is a everybody's kind of equal atmosphere. It's funny, how do I get rid of my name? I don't like my name there. That's a good example of not being Hughley. It just seems like not the right color. It's jetting out there in a nice, calming, calm. I say it over and over, but there's something very calming about the atmosphere and gentle on the nerves. I would say that I'm going to post some sites that are into Hygge, and they don't reflect all my views on everything, but they were fun to watch. And there's something called cottage core, where people are living in a small cottage and doing videos on what it's like to live in that. And so vicariously, you get that Hygge atmosphere, and they seem quite happy. So other things that are Hygge. So I got this little mug, Let Go and Let God, and it has a saying, and it has my fake coffee. It also has this fake coffee creamer, which I really like. It's a superfood creamer. And so you can actually have enough creamer in there, and it's actually good for you. It's quite healthy. Hygge, also, I'm not trying to sell things, but I came across these candles, and my sister's into candles. I'm into candles. My daughter's into candles. And we didn't even know this was a thing like Hygge. When I encouraged my sister to read the book or listen to the book, it's like, this is so her. This is what she does. My brother does it as well. So I don't know if you can see this, but this is like a little campfire in a tin. And it crackles. And some of the crackling candles would make me nervous. They weren't Hygge. It made me feel like running to the fire extinguisher and put them out. This has a little crackle though, and I really like it. The scent is stunning. It's called the Good and Well Supply Company. They're based in Seattle. And they have scents that are very woodsy and very fun. Like this one is pine, needle, citrus, and balsam fir. So we'll let that crackle back by the other one. It scents the house pretty nicely. Other Hygge things. My mother had this. I don't know if this is Hygge, but this is certainly relaxing. I've never seen anything like this before. It's a rain chime. So how it works is there's the chimes there. And up above, there's sticky little round things. And then there's all these BBs. You can see the BBs. Try to get as many BBs there so that you can see that they're just there. Isn't that something? The reflection's not doing it justice there. So I'm going to let this be. It's kind of a nice, relaxing atmosphere in the back. It's like this is like Christmas show and tell. I got this jacket. To me, this feels, I like jackets and sweaters. It's like a little bit of Hygge just in a daily life. Let's see. Anyway, you could explore it for yourself. I think it's very interesting that there's a whole culture around this. And it's kind of the opposite of the direction that's caused a lot of stress for people. The stress of digital. I'm not anti-digital. Here I am coming to you through digital means, but it helps you rethink things and to figure out what you really want and to find a space. Oh, corners, by the way, are kind of Hygge. Pubs could be Hygge in Ireland and Scotland. Warm blankets. My daughter got me a weighted blanket that is very nice. Yeah, You can explore it for yourself. It was quite fun to explore. I think what I'm going to be doing is a healthier version of it because I don't really need to eat a lot of pastries. I don't really need to watch movies that are comforting but could be a little bit of waste of time. Reading is Hygge. When I'm knitting, spinning wool, that's Hygge. It's called, yeah, I'm recycling here. So something else I'd like to share, but I'm going to look at our comments here. Okay. Let's see. Let's see if I wanted to do that. I'm learning this as I go, but just share another screen and go a different direction. I came across a book which I thought was very interesting. I've known about the concept of emotional sobriety for a long time. Emotional sobriety is, I think, used by Bill W. You can get sober from your drug or behavior of choice that was addictive, but it's not the same as being well. And how do you respond to the people around you, to emotions, emotional events, taking care of yourself? And I believe that there's some emotional sobriety. Not being emotionally sober would be things like raging, resentaholic moments, holding on to grudges, living in an extremes, isolation, distancing yourself, passive aggressiveness, taking on others' emotions to the extent that you become weighed down. And so, as I was looking for the book, Emotional Sobriety, the next frontier, that was from the AA Grapevine, which I may do a video on, I found this book. And I found it on Archive. And for those that don't know about Archive, Archive is great. I find all kinds of videos, all kinds of anything that there is this need to kind of hold on to the to make it an archive so that we'd have it. And so I thought, okay, I'll try this. I'm gonna make it a little bit bigger here, and I'm gonna make sure that I'm out of the screen because I don't need to be seen. It's Tian Dayton, Dr. Dayton. You'll find her. But she has a background in recovery. She talks from a place where she herself has been through some things. And that always, I think, is a really good idea as an author. You really know this personally. So she shares a little bit about it. But I'll just share some passages. She talks about the Greek story about Icarus, which is all about balance. And she has a Greek family background. But let's get to, there were so many good passages, and I should have cut and pasted them, but for the sake of time and excitement, I thought, well, I'll just throw this out here. Sorry for the dizziness effect. If you're getting dizzy, I guess, what is emotional sobriety? I love this phrase. This is like, I mean, just when you're an author, if you can come up with a phrase that's going to grab your attention, and this one definitely grabbed my attention. Curiously, the subject of emotions were studied very little until the past couple of decades. Previously, we were worshippers of the mind. We lived as if our emotions were incidental, little things that leaked out over sentimental songs or bubbled forward during evocative occasions like beach walks, graduation, or weddings. We imagined our thoughts ruled the day and emotions followed neatly in line. Now, those from a Christian point of view might think, I won't even say it, but just think, tree of knowledge of good and evil. What happened? But recent research in neuroscience suggests the opposite. Emotions, it turns out, impact our thinking more than our thinking impacts our emotion. The emotional part of our brain actually sends more inputs to the thinking part of our brain than the opposite. In other words, when our emotions are out of control, so is our thinking. When we can't bring our feeling and thinking into some sort of balance, our life and our relations feel out of balance too. Emotional sobriety encompasses our ability to live with balance and maturity. It means that we have learned how to keep our emotions, thoughts, and actions within a balanced range. Our thinking, feeling, and behavior are reasonably congruent, and we're not ruled or held captive by any one part of us. We don't live in our heads, our emotions don't run us, and we aren't overly driven by unconscious or compulsive behaviors. We operate from a reasonably integrated flow and enjoy a life experience that is more or less balanced and present oriented. We are not off the wall. And at those moments when we do fly off the wall, all of us do, and probably need to now and then, we find our way back again. Okay. I think I'm just going to continue reading comment. Emotions came long before thinking in our human evolution. You know, I'm not really sold on the idea of the theory of evolution, but I live with it because a lot of people do. I think there's alternative ways to explain things, but anyway, I'm just pointing that out. The limbic system developed eons before the prefrontal cortex, or the thinking part of our brain. Emotions are adaptive, telling us all sorts of very important things. They tell us what is important to us and how much attention to give it. Okay. Developmentally speaking, feelings predate thoughts. Okay, it's an interesting idea, but it kind of makes sense. It seems very primitive. The limbic system that governs our emotions develops before the thinking part of our brains or our prefrontal cortex. Emotional sobriety is about finding and maintaining our emotional equilibrium, our feeling rheostat, the one that helps us to adjust the intensity of our emotional responses to life. Emotional sobriety is tied up in our ability to self-regulate and to bring ourselves into or maintain our balance. Okay, it's going to talk about balance. It's really pretty cool. I mean, it was just here I was reading away and just in a little viewer like that. And it's like, wow, this is actually kind of good. Wow, this is good. Wow, this is good. So I've ordered the book, and I'll post information on how to find it online. Let's see here. She's going to talk about trauma a lot and how it affects us, and how children pick up the emotional responses from their parents. I'm going to join in again here. We learn the skills of self, or what we call limbic regulation, from those who surround us when we are young. As children, if we get frightened or hurt, for example, we look to our mothers, fathers, and caregivers to help us feel better, to soothe us and woo us back into balance. Children are dependent on their parents for nothing less than their survival. Because of this, what goes on in those primary relationships affect us on a deep level, at that survival level. Who I am, who am I in relation to you? Do I please you? Am I safe in your arms? Do I have a place in the world? Will I be fed, understood, and cared for? These kinds of fundamental issues are part of early life. Here's an example. We're on the spot again, but this time we're little. We're being blamed for something and we can't figure out what we did wrong. We did the same thing yesterday and no one got mad. Our parents is yelling at us. They look out of control with arms flying around and eyes filled with fury. It's as if another person has taken over their body and that other person is scary. We are 2 feet tall. They are huge. We are barely able to tie our shoes or open the refrigerator. They can drive a car and buy groceries. We can't run because they would catch us. We can't fight, they'd win. So we freeze, and all sorts of what we call survival responses swing into action. Our bodies start pumping out adrenaline, for example, in case we need to flee for safety or stand or fight. But we can't do either. We're stuck. So it goes into talking about if your home is scary, which I had one of those. I mean, I lived through it, and there's a lot of good things that I experienced, but there was a lot of things that were not good. And she's going to talk about how emotions do get stuck in our bodies and how they need to be expressed. She cites the work of a person who, I need to get there. Dr. van der Kolk, if you're a fan of his. And we'll come back to talk about that. That was fascinating, this idea that our emotions, our feelings are actually different. Our feelings are things we feel in our body. Emotions is the label we give it, and they're different parts of the brain. It says at the core of emotional sobriety is the ability to bring our emotions into balance. So what we're feeling is within manageable range. When our emotions are within a balanced range, a few things happen to bring that balance into our lives. Our balanced emotions spawn balanced feelings. Oops, sorry, boy, I keep hitting this mic. Our balanced emotions spawn balanced feelings and thoughts. Maybe I got it opposite. Maybe the emotions are what we feel and the feelings are the labels we give them. Our balanced emotions, thoughts, and feelings spawn balanced behavior. Our relationship conflicts stay within a reasonable, manageable range. We're better able to tolerate the intensity of our emotions so we can use our thinking minds to decode our feelings. Notice how she just really beautifully weaves in neuroscience and how we could use this practically. Yeah, here it is. Antonio Damasio. Emotions aren't necessarily the same as feelings. Though we use the terms interchangeably, Antonio Damasio, author of The Feeling of What Happens, suggests that emotions and feelings are actually different. The basic emotions such as fear, grief, desire, rage, and love are hardwired into our bodies and happen atomically, while our feelings are processed by the thinking part of our brain. Wow, what an interesting idea this is. Our thinking, in other words, elevates our more primitive emotions to a conscious level where we can actually experience them. When we can decode and understand the emotions, we can incorporate them into ever-expanding and evolving sense of self. Once we make our emotions conscious through thinking about them, or feeling them, we can begin to understand our feelings about them. We're meant to experience our basic emotions in a split second, before we have time to feel our feelings surrounding them. That crucial 1/10 of a second may mean the difference between health or injury. So nature, or I would say how God designed us, put first things first, safety above understanding. When we're terrified, the thinking part of us temporarily shuts down for some very good sound reason, from very sound reasons. We aren't supposed to be distracted by random thoughts when danger threatens. We're meant to be flooded with the adrenaline we need to fight or flee or freeze, to be absolutely still and to remain unnoticed, to become invisible. The ancient fear response happens before any conscious thought enters our process. It's part of what is referred to as the automatic response system. Our emotions get us to fight, flee, or freeze. How we feel and think about being almost hit by that car goes on hold while we do what we need to do to survive. Later, when we can afford the time, we may realize what a close call we had and experience all of the surrounding feelings that went on hold while our survival response took over. Fascinating. Fascinating. We cannot simply lie back and feel our emotions. The motor aspect of emotion involves both inwardly and outwardly directed discharge processes. Inwardly, the experience of emotions is accompanied by the release of hormones, changes in breathing and heart rate, changes in regional blood supply, and so forth. Outwardly, emotion manifests itself in various ways through changes in facial expression, baring of teeth, crying, blushing, and the like, but also in complex behaviors like shouting, running away, and lashing out. So I'm going to let you read this if you want. I do think it's interesting. I will be saying that I haven't read this before. So this is going to be, just me sharing something I found that I was excited about. I'll post links in the description there. Yeah, when I find something that's just really exciting, I think it's going to be a really good book. I just want to share it with friends, and I consider you friends. So that's how that's going to go down. Maybe there's something in there that you point out and go, wow, that's interesting. Or I decide, I haven't read all of the book, but I have a sneaking suspicion this is going to be a game changer for me. Because the thought that when you're in an abusive situation and you're scared, you feel the feelings, I used to describe it as viscerally or limbically first. And if you don't have the words to get those feelings out, then you get blocked emotionally. You can get chronic pain, and you can block them with drugs, alcohol, or some other addictive behavior. So when people get sober, often that process is still there. They have these I want to get the terms right, emotions, but they need the time to share these, to process them in the part of the brain that would be more feeling oriented, and to talk about things. And this, I think, is going to give us the hints of why talking about our problems and expressive writing work, that they somehow get us unblocked. So, well, I'm going to let you go, but it's going to be hit and miss when I can do these, because I've been pretty busy these days. But I wish you well. I wish you a good winter with Hygge moments and good books and friends and good food, candles and evergreen trees and good scents, nice music, warm blankets. So you take care and have a nice evening.